Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And it started beyond. We started this call and nobody was on. And so we had to go back in and fix the link. So if y'all are joining us late or on the replay, I apologize for whatever technical snafus happened, but it's all with purpose. And I was grateful because I got to drop in with our guest tonight, with Elizabeth, and kind of feel into what's percolating. So it's interesting because I felt like that is adding something to our conversation today. Quite profound. So a lot of y'all know Elizabeth. We're getting a lot of people with the yay going on. So I get why y'all are excited. If you're new to Elizabeth, Elizabeth is just amazing. She really is on the cutting edge of the galactic and quantum realm. And Elizabeth is seer. And so when we can start seeing at different levels, I see Elizabeth seeing like 10 levels beyond that. And so what she reaches out with and returns from that galactic perspective, but also from a very earthly grounded perspective as well, in the way she bridges it. You know, she talks about bridging science and spirituality, but for me, it's also bridging our oversouls with our human selves, grounding in and then applying this intelligence in ways that we can actually use it now for the way that we're evolving, all of us, in our human capacity and spiritual capacity. So this can be a fantastic call. The black wave and the clear wave of consciousness. Elizabeth, again, welcome to tonight's show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm really excited.
And here we go again. Let's dive. What's the black wave of consciousness and what's the clear wave? What's the distinctions? Let's just go.
Yes, we have to go. This is all very interesting and serious and also very profoundly fun if you're willing to ride these waves. So I'm hoping that we all get to be surfers today. That's my hope.
Nice.
So the black wave, this has been foretold for a really long time. In fact, I learned that the Quechua, who are natives here in Ecuador where I live, they actually have foretold this wave. And this is information that I haven't shared before, but we're actually at the very end of the cycle of cycles. And so I've talked about the end of the 12,000 year galactic cycle before, and I'll reiterate that shortly. But I want all of you to know and to feel in your body that you got invited to the end of the ages of the ages. We're at the end of an 800,000 year cycle. That's as long as humanity's been on Earth. So we're literally restarting. The merry-go-round, folks, has gone all the way around. And we are here at the end of the age of ages. And so here we're at a 12,000 year cycle as well, galactically. And this is astrophysics. So you can actually go look this up for yourself. But the 12,000 year galactic cycle creates a huge wave of energy. It's like a big broom that sweeps in front of it quite a lot of matter and particles and radiation and many other things we can't measure yet. And it creates dramatic effects on everything it hits. And so every 12,000 years that happens to us and to Gaia, as in accordance to all of our ancestors and the great star beings who helped to arrange this experiment in consciousness. And we are at the end of that experiment. It ended some years ago, technically, but just like any good experiment, you got to wrap up. And that's what's happening. But this is very interesting because the ancient natives here in the Amazon have been seeing this for a very long time, and they've been talking about it for at least 12,000 years. And they call it the black wave, and that's what's happening to us right now. And so all of us are going through this. Like, I haven't met anybody yet, John, who isn't like, I'm just having a great, easy time. Everything's fine. Like, everybody's like, something big is happening to me. And some of it's really good and some of it's horrifying and all of the above. But what this is density. Now, at first, when you take a look at this energy, It looks very dark and demonic and scary, but we know better than that. Studiers of mysticism, we know that dark just means dense. It just means it's compacted, it's consciousness under pressure. So we're talking about a whole wave of pressure. And where it's at right now is right above the heart chakra. We're just a week away from it hitting the heart center, which is the masculine power center. So what's happening to the men around us is actually key at the moment. And I want us all to pay attention to our own masculine versions of ourselves, because it's not going to just pass by the feminine. That's not what's happening. It's happening to all of us, but it's breaking open whatever's blocking your heart. So, I like to use my personal struggles as an example. And the past 4 weeks, as it's been coming down through the throat into the high heart and deeper into the heart, this wave is coming down slowly upon us. As it's coming into my heart, I've fallen ill. I've been more sick than I've ever been in my life. And I've been under an amount of pressure for 4 weeks that has made me completely reorient myself around what I know about pain and death. Now, that was something that I would argue right now has blocked my heart, because I grew up surrounded in pain and death. I grew up in a war zone. I was there when Chernobyl blew. I know what pain and death feel like. I can see it. I know it. I can feel it. It's the same thing that shut me down originally, my heart. And when it came through the third eye, my seeing abilities clarified, but I also had to go through some shifts around being a good seer, being a helper, trying to save everybody, all that normal stuff. But now it's come to a part of my body that I've struggled with. And this is something I've tried to open in a lot of interesting ways, even using pain on purpose. When I was in my 20s, John, I got a tattoo. It's the only tattoo I have. It's literally on my heart chakra.
Mm.
And my tattoo artist is like, "Are you sure you want this to be your first tattoo? Like, this is a really painful spot." I'm like, "Yes, we're going to open my heart chakra with this tattoo." That didn't work. Still have a good tattoo, but the whole experience of this is like that, like 1,000-fold. If you're really paying attention, it's happening to everyone. It's happening to humanity. So the natives here, they're like, this wave's coming and it's gonna like make a whole bunch of people hate being human, but it's also gonna awaken all the folks who are supposed to do this job. Well, the job, according to them, all these amazing natives in the Amazon who literally have never had like a candy bar in their whole life, they've never watched TV. These are real hardcore, actual Gaia people. They're original people. And they say,
Original OGs, yes.
they're the OGs. These are it. And when you meet them, they will humble you real quick. It's deeply humbling. I mean, they're like, they come up to me like right here, but you feel very, very conscious because they are so fully in their body. And they're saying, this is going to awaken the people who came to do the job. And in their words, basically, to become a new species. So that makes sense. If we're at the end of an 800,000 year cycle, it's time now. Homo erectus, the beings that came before us, whose bodies we helped to cultivate in order for our souls to properly enter into the DNA that was very well and beloved and very well taken care of here on Gaia. Those beings lived here for 1 million years. So right around the same time is when they ended up being transformed into Homo sapiens. So it's about time for that to occur. But this was done consciously, and it's going to be done consciously now too. people had to choose to become Homo sapiens. It wasn't just one woman who was like, I'm going to become a new species. This is a very spiritual event, but it had to utilize one of the most intense events on planet Earth, the 12,000 year cycle, in order to do that. So that's where we're at. And as this wave opens the heart, the masculine and all of humanity in general has to have a reckoning of the heart. So today, really ask yourself, as you prepare for this next week coming into solstice, ask yourself, what is my reckoning? What is really blocking me from the heart? Now, you need to know a little bit about what the heart actually does before you can do that. Now, all of you empaths, of course, know what that is. You already know. You just haven't necessarily been trained in your superpower, but I'll remind you, it's that the heart space is a highway. It's huge. You see, you think that because you live in a body that's like smaller than a horse, that your heart field's going to be smaller than a horse heart field. I have a couple of horses. Their heart fields reach at least 600 feet, measurably. But the human heart field, how far can your heart go? Can it go 6 feet? Can it go 600? What about the size of your house? What about your town? I think your heart can go to the edge of the universe. Now, what does that mean? It means that your heart is a highway to move energy in the entire universe. In fact, you picked to be in a body on a planet that is at the heart of the universe. If you have a universe map, Gaia's the heart. And this is just simply a fact. So you're here for the real show. The real show is to watch your heart and everyone else's as this black wave comes in and reckons everything, all your armor, all the things you thought were protecting you. It's going to reckon the whole castle. It's going to reckon your moat, created this big old moat around you. Maybe it's made of all kinds of stuff. It's all got to go. It's got to go. If you're going to become a new species for real, it has to go. And that's what's happening. This black wave is literally reckoning every part of the human body. Just wait till it gets to the female power center, which is the root chakra. I'm thrilled and excited to talk about that a little bit today, but I just want to point out, ask yourself, what is it that has to go? For me, it was my fear of death and pain. You see, I don't fear death so much, and I really don't now, but I really have feared pain. And I had to go through some of the worst pain I've ever had in the past 4 weeks. It's been beyond what I could possibly explain, but I literally now have a full-blown, full body, full heart experience of what my physical pain is and how to use it to literally heal myself and everyone else that I get to come across, and to up-level the skills that I thought I had already leveled out. That's not true. If we're going to be new Homo luminous humans, John, then we're going to actually have a whole other set of levels for every single one of our skills, including the psychic skills, to become even better than I ever thought. And that's something that's
I have a question for you that's really pertinent, because I had an experience about a month and a half ago where I actually had a reckoning with my previous year, and the previous year felt so abundant in so many things, and it seemed like I glided through it in so many ways. But the truth was, there was these several pivotal moments that were heart-wrenching, but I didn't know I navigated it with a consciousness of if I knew that everything that was happening was working for me. So there was like an excitement moving forward. There was an awareness of an expansion. There was awareness of a maturity that I was going through. And it included the death of my mother, death of a relationship, the shifting of family dynamics, a lot of things that when I look back upon, I was able to have a lot of compassion for the being who went through all those experiences and realize finally, like, wow, that was a traumatic type of year. It truly was. But it was upon reflection of that. And so bringing that all together and then being in ceremony and going through excruciating pain and different layers of consciousness and different types of ceremony was tremendous. And again, it brought forward a level of understanding and deep compassion for where I have been and how I had gotten there and what I had to go through. You've had this experience of reawakening, going through the pain, going through the death process. Does everybody have to go through that experience before they can discover what that heart point is?
Well, kind of. It's going to be different for everybody because each soul is unique. And so whatever you're drawing to you, like, here's an example.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody out there listening who's like, well, I haven't gone through that kind of stuff, but boy, am I bored. Like the pain of the mundane. And they're like, I just want something interesting to happen to me. I just want to see something cool. Like, and I'm just so normal that it's like killing them. And they're like, all this extraordinary stuff's going on and I'm just nothing. And that's a rendering. And that's painful for that person. And then there's going to be somebody else who's watching all their friends and family pass away, or watching all these new people being born and maybe they can't have a baby, or, you know, there's such incredible, endless list of what's possible in this rendering, in this reckoning. So it's just dependent upon you, but you need to pay close attention because something's happening. And if you think nothing's happening, then you're just simply not paying attention. And you need to get into your attention, and you need to get into your body and out of your head.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Everyone's going to go through and is going through, and it's going to actually happen in an interesting way too. It's not just like going to happen like on solstice. Like, it's happening to me over weeks. As we get closer to solstice, solstice is going to be me finally being like, oh yes, I am so ready for this to move on to my solar plexus, like, because I've already been going through it. And yet for some people, it's going to happen on solstice. And then others, it's going to be a slower progression and they're going to catch up because they have a lot more, you know, heavy weight that they're taking off, and it takes a while to take this armor off. So it's not all going to happen exactly at the exact same time as everybody else, and it's certainly not going to happen in the same way. It can't, because the human is so different.
I love that you said taking the armor off, because that's a very masculine quality, right? And for me, we talked before we came on the call, and you're like, wow, you look like you've lost weight. It's like, yeah, I've lost like 10 pounds of muscle, which were part of my armor. Also, the deconstruction of that non-intentionally, energetically, with what's happening, it's really, the signs are there if you pay attention, like you're saying.
Absolutely. And I would actually argue that the wearing of armor and the being a warrior is also something the feminine has been programmed to do as we entered into what I would call the oligarchy more than a patriarchy, because it's harmed men just as much, that women were told, you better suit up, you better get ready, you better get your sword out. And it's been really hard for me, John, to lay down my sword. And I have always been, I'm surrounded in warriors. I come from a high-class military family. I literally grew up in a war zone. So laying my armor down and my sword, we got a little glimpse of this in like 2017 when the Matrix was like completely dismantled off this planet, and mercy showed up instead of like holy hell. and everyone's like, what do you mean Christ consciousness is here and we have to lay our armor down? Well, that's exactly what happened, but this is 100-fold. It is time. You have to.
We're
You
being
can't
called. We're being
evolve
called to
when
the
you're
table.
wearing armor.
Yeah. All of us are being called. All of us.
Yes. A softening. Sherry says it's softening. That's right. It's time. You have to get softer. You got to get malleable. You need to be reformed. This is not easy. It's painful, and it's supposed to be. Pain isn't bad. Pain is light.
So how does this play into the Kali and the divine mother energy that you're talking about?
Yeah, this is when we get to the fun part, the clear wave. If you thought the black wave was tough, just wait. So as it comes through, it's going to come through the power centers of humanity coming up from June until the winter solstice. Winter solstice in the north is going to be when this wave hits the feminine power center, and it's going to activate something. And it's going to activate these energies. And Kali and the Divine Mother are the same thing. It's just that we have been completely culturally educated about what Kali is. Kali is soft. Kali is like marshmallows. Kali is squishy. Kali is the primordial. It's the light it's the still light of existence, but it's clear. And that's the weird part. So what's going to happen is a lot of different events are going to occur over the next 6 months. I have no idea exactly what. Future seeing is not something people should dabble in. You should trust these cycles. Yeah. Because there's inevitabilities, but there's an endless way for you to hit the inevitability. It's like an island in an ocean. There's an endless amount of ways for you to get there. So that's basically what you can trust is inevitabilities, and those are denoted by cycles. So there's been things that have happened over the past 6 months where I was like, wow, I did not see that coming, because you're not supposed to. It's built in that way. So as this unfolds over the next 6 months, it's going to open up all the power centers, and humanity's got to decide, are we powerful or not? That's the question on the table coming up. Right here from the heart, it's going to be, it is right now, hey, have you really loved? Have you really loved? Do you really know what unconditional love is? Are you really doing that? And most of us, and myself included, are going to say, well, no, I've had conditions. That's true, especially on myself. Yeah. And when you're sick and feel like you're going to die, that's when you figure out all your conditions, at least for me. So as this unfolds, it's going to hit the power center of the feminine, the root chakra, and it's going to literally ignite an energy that we've been waiting for. And this is the feminine taking the reins of power once again, because it's going to be based on enough. Enough is enough. There's going to be an energy of power that will cleanse the feminine consciousness. And women, you better get ready for this. I just had a glimpse of it. I just experienced this. It's actually what healed me. It's what healed me. But it was so not pretty. And it was brutal. It was brutal. But it move through you. And you need to let it move through your crown. You can't stop it. Don't stop it here. Don't stop it here. Let it move out, because you're a conduit. You are a conduit. If you run a circuit and that circuit is closed, what happens to it? It's going to blow up. Runs out. Yeah. You're going to literally short circuit yourself. Don't do it. So big, huge, like 6-month level warning here. Let it run all the way through your body. Be a conduit. this is a very important power that has to happen. It will transform you. It's going to purge a lot out of your body. It's not going to be easy or comfortable. You're going to go through a purging, and men will too. But what the men will see and what they're going to experience is an incredible opening of the heart to say, I am so glad you showed up. Thank God. Here's the reins of power. Please take them. We are done with this whole thing. And you should just open your heart up, hold a space of compassion, because you guys, you men, are going to nourish the divine feminine as they finally take their reign back. And you need to nourish them with your heart. You see, the men are not in a lack of power. You see, the feminine has been trying to rebuild a bunch of stuff, but we can't do it without you, because literally we don't have the ability to nourish ourselves as the masculine heart center can nourish us. Please don't underestimate this. You have to be humble and wise with your love and make sure that the feminine around you knows, I've got your back. I am here. My heart is open. I am a conduit of divine nourishment. And this is going to be so much more pleasant as a role for the masculine than the masculine has been experiencing, which is holding reins of power that you shouldn't be. And so as the feminine retakes power, it's going to be very much like a rocket ship taking off. And this is going to change a paradigm. And this paradigm change is going to literally feel like a tsunami finally crashes. And that's what this whole year has been. It's been a massive tsunami of density, pushing all the density out of you. But then it's not over. Then Kali, the true nature of Kali, what is that? Time and change. You see, I'm a daughter of Kali. I have been obsessed with change and culture change in every layer and aspect of my life, because I can see, but I'm an illuminator. I can literally illuminate anything. This is not normal. This is important for all humanity. So as I practice it, it's available to you on Indra's net. But this is the key. You see, change is coming. That's the clear wave. And that's the second wave. And you won't see it coming because it's clear. You won't realize it's coming down on you. And this one isn't going to take a year. I have no idea how exactly long it's going to take, but it's not going to take very long. And it's going to happen like a hammer. It's going to shatter all of your illusions. You see, there's a lot. We've been holding on to these projections about each other, especially. And we've been holding it like a submarine going down deeper into what is true and what is real. And we're holding this glass and it is shattering as we go deeper. And everyone's trying to hang on to their illusions. And the thicker the glass, the more the panic. And this is all gone by the end of January next year, gone. And so by spring of 2023, there will have been such a rendering, such a reckoning. This is us being prepared for becoming a new species. It's supposed to be like this. You can't become a new species if you're just having a nice old grand time. You have to do this under pressure. This is why species change is called punctuated equilibrium. It's going to happen fast. And it's here. It's happening. You're here. You did it. You made it to 2022. In the next 10 years, you're going to, if you really want to be rendered, you are going to become a new species. And that's what I see, John. That's the clear wave. It's It's going to come up out of nowhere. No one's going to think that it's going to happen. They're going to think they get a little break, a reprieve. Nope, that's not what's going to happen.
Hmm. Yeah, and I see that also. I see something shifting, but we don't know what that shift is. And what you're speaking of really goes into the heart of that. And so that clarity, it's yeah, futurism, the way that we've known it before is it's a whole nother skill or consciousness. And again, to see the clarity of what's happening now is really what you're bringing to us, rather than the obscurity of where we're still trying to hold on to things, again, where that divide is happening between the feminine and the masculine, and really embodying the essence of our new awakening of those structures. So this is amazing. I want to ask you about Indira's.net in just a second. And Indira's.net and is part of the special offer. And there's more of a going into that and the connection into that, and how to access what that consciousness entails for you. There's also an opportunity, and I'm saying this now, for y'all to work with Elizabeth on a private session in the special offer, which hasn't been offered in a long time, on the show with Elizabeth. So this is a privilege. So I find it interesting that we had a snafu in the beginning of the call, and that everybody that wanted to join could join immediately. So those of y'all who are on, if you want to take advantage of this, you'll be able to get on the calendar first before maybe we even shut down the sessions, because I have a feeling Elizabeth may get booked up really fast. So April, if you would put the link in the chat box, we'll go through the special offer in a little bit. But I wanted to mention that. And Elizabeth, give us some details about Indra's.net and your consciousness about it and how that impacts all of us.
My pleasure, because this is something I'm very passionate about. And Indra's.net is the real internet. Mm-hmm. And so the real, this cool internet that we're using is a poor copy. I love it still. I've always loved the internet. But, Indra's.net is the second dimension. And everyone's kind of been focused on the fifth dimension, unfortunately. I think it's a shame that we tend to sort of label dimensions as better than another, and that's just not reality. So let's drop that illusion. And if you can notice something in your own body, when I'm telling you about Indra's.net and I'm saying the second dimension, it makes you automatically, in my body at least, want to fall backwards and be caught by a net. That's exactly what you should do.
Love that.
Because as you fall back into the second dimension, you think that you're going backwards, but actually the first and second dimension built you up to where you are. It's not backwards by any means. This is an open floor plan. All 12 dimensions are an open floor plan. There's no higher or better dimension. Half of them have duality and half of them don't, which I think is a fabulous cosmic joke. But the truth is that Indra's.net is the second dimension, and your 3D experience of the material is built on it. Let me show you energetically. So I want you to find an object in your room. I don't normally lead practices like this, but this is a different year. So find an object in your room and recognize that you have a relationship with it, right? So just any object, be your cup. So I'm going to use my cup of water here. So this cup and me, we have this relationship, and I want you to close your eyes and notice it. Notice that you have this light. And then I want you to notice, and you don't have to see it. I want you to feel it. If you're not totally doing the seer thing, just feel it, feel it. Feel this connection, feel the light. You see, empathy and being able to feel with your heart is just as powerful as being able to psychically see. It's like a type of seeing anyway. So you feel that, you can feel the cup. The cup is there. It's kind of conscious. It's not conscious like you are, but it's kind of conscious. And for whatever reason, this cup and you have a relationship. This object and you have a relationship. And there's a line between you and the cup, or you and the object. That's Indra's.net. And that's actually happening atomically. It's happening with everything around you that you can see. physically and non-physically. Okay, now I want you to back up into the net and feel the whole net. There's this network of all these little dots of light, these points of light, which are conscious, and then they have lines between them. It literally creates a network. It's very physical. You can feel it in your body. All your cells are doing it. You can feel it in the room around you. And now I want you to just open your heart and say, anybody that wants to connect, I'd like to connect with you. And as you really say that, bam, you're going to feel presence.
Mhm.
And it's all of us on this call and many thousands of others. And they're all feeling you too. And it's not annoying like a physical roommate, but yet they're there. It's present. This is something you should tap into right now. It's never been more available. But on this net is actually the truth. The truth is, this is where human consciousness is going to up level from. This is where we get to bounce on the trampoline of Indra's net and really embrace what this whole Homo luminous thing is all about, which nobody can tell you exactly what it is because we've never done it before on any planet.
Elizabeth,
So
a question for those who are very empathic and
yes.
are afraid to feel and to call in so many people into their,
Yeah.
what do they do? What's your reality around that connection?
This is the cool part. It's not annoying. It's not bothersome. You're not going to feel their crap. You're not going to, it's just their soul.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're really feeling it, it won't feel overwhelming. It'll feel like, oh, phew, there's some people who get this and they don't know exactly what they're getting, but they're getting it. This is I've been working with empaths for the past 6 months about this. And everybody, I haven't had one person say, I can't handle it. It's too much. And some of the most powerful empaths I've ever met have been over the past few years because they're coming out of the woodwork going, I can't handle this whole human thing. What do I do? Like, I thought I could get by. Somebody said, I'm so exhausted. I'm ready to surrender. You know, being an empath is basically you're trying to balance out because nobody taught you how to use your superpower. You're trying to balance out constant resistance to all the pain and agony of the reality of being human. That's not what happens on Indra's net. And the other thing that doesn't happen is the bombardment of the human hate program.
Mm.
You see, when you get on the TV or the radio, a lot of different outlets, right? You hear this whole, you're not good enough. Humans are a scourge on the earth. These terrible lies, which make you hate yourself and then make you more and more separate from the truth. So when you're on Indra's net, it's the opposite. You actually feel like humanity and reality are like, we're so glad you're here. Oh my gosh, yay, you're here. You're amazing. You're perfect. You are so important. And you get that constantly so that you actually get nourished by being connected to humanity again. This is the answer to feeling overwhelmed as an empath by all the psychic pickup and all the drama and all the stickiness of human consciousness. So thank you for asking that, John, because it is really important. Most folks who are in that level of empath, and a lot of you are coming into even greater levels of empath because you take what I've been saying seriously. You can feel the universe. When you feel the true universe through Indra's net, it's glorious. It's what you've been waiting for. It's what you've been asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not full of distortion anymore. You're not connecting to people's trauma and ego anymore. You're connecting to their soul. That's what's happening. That is heaven on earth.
There's something important that came up for me that I just want to bring up before we get into the special offer, maybe have you elaborate on it as well. is a lot of times when we speak of those things that we don't want, or the distortion that we're in. And specifically, we're talking about, and you mentioned, it was so interesting for me, the illumination that came up. You mentioned TV, radio, we talk about the media. And we mentioned that with such absolutes of the detriment of what those things can do to our consciousness. But we really have to give credit to your YouTube channel, to my radio show, and not speak in absolutes, but really focus our attentions on the media, on the radio, on the TV that we want to build upon, rather than destroy it all, because we're putting a collective in a box that doesn't suit the truth of what's evolving in technology, in the media, on Earth, on, in the ecosystem of the plants. And those are all mirrors of what's happening within us.
It is. It's interesting because the fake internet, or the internet, right? So we'll just say the internet and Indra's net. These two things, the Indra's net has always existed since the beginning of time. And the internet was an attempt at copying this. And this is a common outcome of the oligarchy, is an attempt at copying things in consciousness, and often doing it just for a semblance of more control and centralization. So what they didn't realize is that by creating the internet, it created actually global consciousness. It up-leveled consciousness. Mm-hmm. And then all of the folks like you and I who figured out, hey, guess what? I can run light through this video camera. And when I speak and when I use my body and my hands and my eyes, I can actually help people. They didn't count on that. Right. This is just poor planning and poor understanding of humanity. You see, we're capable of taking any technology and making it a multidimensional attribute of our own experience. The tricky part, though, and what I think is going to happen, is that we're going to merge all these things. What I just described through the internet, I linked the two. I linked Indra's net to the internet. Now, that being said, there's a line. There's a line. This is fine. I think it's good. I think it's amazing. And I think that these platforms, as they evolve, will actually become very important in this very short time, for all of these changes to be apparent. But taking it into the body, trying to merge this physical technology that is not actually built upon the multidimensional human experience, and then trying to merge the two, this is not healthy. There really hasn't been any outcomes where the sort of cyborg transformation of humanity goes well. You see, we've tried to play this out already in our imagination through science fiction, and it never goes well. So my argument really is, keep these things outside your body, use them, but turn your Wi-Fi off at night when you go to bed. Mm-hmm. Shut off your cell phone on the weekends. If you have a day off, get away from your computer, please. I mean, these are some things that have come up over the years that no one ever thought they'd say, like, you really should just get off the computer for a week while you're on vacation. But it's true. And so why? Because you're already using tech. You are not your body. This is tech. This is some of the best tech ever made. If you're trying to use a whole bunch of things, like, okay, there are some people out there who literally use multiple computers and cell phones all at once, but those folks are not terribly healthy either. So take it from someone who has studied the human body for eons upon eons. This is tech. When you set aside all the rest of it, you're still using technology, and you need to be wise about it. For the evolution of your soul, you picked this opportunity. You said yes to the invitation to be in this body So be in it. That's the job. That's the invitation. Sort of like, we invited you to this conversation today and you came, but you're not going to stay in it all day. You're not going to put this on loop and listen to us 25 times. And you shouldn't, because there's a huge amount of download of energy, frequency, and information going on in one conversation. So you need to be very, very wise about your time with tech and be wise about how you utilize it. I only use the internet to run light. That's the only thing I use it for, ever. And so that's what I do. But when I'm done with this conversation, I'm turning my cell phone off, my computer, and my Wi-Fi, and I'm going to be in my body, because that's what I actually signed up for. This internet cool stuff that we're doing is a side show, a side part that happens to be available in our evolution right now. That's how I see it, John.
Yeah. Well, me too. And what I also see is our cell phone is a prosthesis for our capacity to be able to be telepathic and communicate. So it's a device that's showing us our capabilities, but right now we're relying on a machine to show us what we're evolving into. The internet, the computer, our ability to tap into Indra's net, and the way that we'll be able to communicate as Homo luminous will be much more closer to what we rely on, this computer that we're sitting in front of us, or the cell phone. And for me, they're mirrors of the technology that's awakening within us again, organically, of reminding of us our capacities. To have a cell phone to call someone in China from the US in the 1800s would have been considered out of the ordinary, completely like out of the realm of existence.
Yeah.
And look at what we're doing now. So it really points to me of the evolution. There's a lot of excitement to be had in it, and not to buy into the fear of what AI is going to do or computers are going to do or how fast it's catching up. But really, like you said, and this is so important, is to use it as a tool for light. And when we do that consciously, when you go in with the intention, when you flip open that laptop, that you're transmitting light, when you're paying your bills online and you're transmitting light, when you're paying bills, you're changing the consciousness of the structures that were superseding from the old paradigm that's collapsing. But you're fertilizing it with love. You're fertilizing with kindness. You're fertilizing with compassion. So you're not destroying for the sake of destruction. You're imbuing light for the sake of evolution, which is a whole different way of interacting with the change of consciousness that's occurring. So we're not going through a revolution, we're really going through an evolution.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. And it is all about intent. And just to like slow it down, like what do you actually do with this stuff? It's all about intent. Whenever I pick up my phone, and I do many times a day, I have a huge family. Like it's this massive network. I try to serve as many people as possible. But this amazing thing, this thing really only gets better if I keep using this. So that's the cool part. This is not something that was expected. This is the cool part of evolution. You never know exactly what kind of butterfly is going to come out. So that's where we're at. Thank you, John. You nailed it.
It's so fun to talk about this and to really be in that way. What's really happening? Hold on a second. What can we be excited about instead of afraid about?
Yes.
Right? It's so wonderful. Y'all, I want to get into Elizabeth's special offer and open up to some Q&A, because I did promise Q&A. So we're getting, and there's some great questions in the chat box already. But Elizabeth, we have to go what you've put together here, because the opportunity to work with you one-on-one, and then these modules that you have available, you'll have to dive in. The link is in the chat box. April just typed it in, I think for the second time now, but it's at the very bottom of the chat box, or maybe the top, depending on how you want to look at it. Click on that, or type in your browser beyondtheordinaryshow.com/ BTO28/Elizabeth28. And it'll take you to that same special offer page. And Elizabeth, guide us through what's available when people.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say, John, that the last time I offered a one-on-one was when I first came onto your show.
You went crazy.
And I don't even remember when that was. It was a long time. And so it's been a really long time. And, something prompted me to do this time. And it's because this field is so open. It's because Indra's net is so available. Finally. I feel like we've all been waiting for it. But what this will do is that I just want to give you 20 minutes. That's all you need to be able to experience what it's like to go through a quantum healing. And I don't need you to tell me much. In fact, I do better psychic reading if I can't see you and I have no idea about you and I have no clue except what your name is and I have no clue about what kinds of problems you have. I do a better psychic reading because the field speaks for itself. That's what has made me such a great oracle, because I know how to trust that and get out of the way. And if you want to experience what that's like, and then combine it with this class series, then you too can do what I'm trying to do. And the reason why I'm offering this one-on-one and this series, which is so unusual for me, this whole thing is live. I'm not doing any pre-recordings. Yes, there will be replays of everything. So if you can't come and the time doesn't work, that's okay. But literally, I have never offered a fully live experience on this show.
I didn't realize it was fully live. That's amazing.
Every single bit of it.
Wow. Okay.
And the reason is because it's time now. It's time for all of you to know and understand and experience what it means to be homoluminous. And this is just a big, step into what that is. The quantum field and being able to experience a healing, to actually feel what it's like to have somebody from thousands of miles away show up and help you and see you and love you and not judge you is so profound. And if I can just do that for whomever needs this, then I feel that I'll be actually fulfilling part of my purpose this year and being able to help you so that you can become what we're talking about, to become homoluminous. And that's key. And you can't do that unless you have somebody show you what the first step is. And that's to know that you are connected, that you're not separate, that somebody in Ecuador can show up and actually do a healing on you, and you'll be able to experience it. And everyone's going to have a different experience. But I've been doing quantum healing for 20 years. And I've been learning all the ins and outs. And I got sick for 4 straight weeks for a good reason. Because I learned some of the final advanced pieces that I need to teach you. And I figured it out. I got my final, initiation certification on this stuff that I didn't have when I actually wrote the copy for this class. So I asked for it. But there's 7 parts to this. And I want you to be able to experience it fully. First, I'm going to teach you how to do remote viewing. You can't do this if you can't do remote viewing. And everybody, all of you, can do remote viewing. You already have been. You just didn't know it. So I'm going to show you how. These are really tight classes. A lot of people are used to me teaching classes, and some of them even last like 4 or 5 hours long. And this isn't that. This is going to be really tight, really concise. I'm going to pack a ton of mysticism into this stuff. And then we're going to back out. And then you're going to percolate for a month. in this. And I want you to listen to this stuff over and over again during that month, because the way mysticism works is we weave 12 dimensions of information into one 90-minute class. I'm going to be pretty precise on this. We're not going over 90 minutes. So it's really key that you come in and you just sit and you don't take notes. You just sit in this light. The second module is all about advanced remote viewing. So I'm going to teach you how to go into people's bodies, into the bodies of animals and plants, and work from there. And then the third module in August is all about how to weave with light, the very beginnings of alchemy. But some of this is so vital, and I'm going to show you how to actually unravel certain things and then weave light into them. It can be very profound and powerful how to do that. The fourth module is how to clear the field and clear DNA, because the field of the human is multidimensional. It's a 12-dimensional field. And DNA is also connected to all those fields. So by working with both of these, we'll be able to actually do this very physical work and notice all the things that need to be seen fully. And of course, then we move even deeper. And this is very exciting to me, John, because this is the first time I'm going to teach about this particular subject, which is addiction.
I love it.
And I've struggled with addiction myself. I understand addiction better than I could ever explain until now. So it's time for us to talk about addiction. I'm going to show you an entirely brand new way of actually understanding addiction that no one that I've ever heard of over all these years has ever talked about it like I do. And it's not that I have something special on it, it's that I'm an anthropologist. And so I understand the history of the sacred communions of the earth and how they work with the human body. So that's key. This is going to be an important module. The sixth module is about clearing genetic and entity bondage. This is something that everybody is concerned about. And addiction and entity bondage are really connected and related. And because we're multidimensional beings, and because we live in some of the best tech that's ever been made in the entire galaxy and perhaps beyond, we have a lot of attention. So we need to deal with that. We need to manage that. We need to mitigate it, and we need to step into our power. This is our experiment. These are our bodies, and this is our planet. So it's time for us to take our reins of power and do it properly and clean up the genetic mess that has happened for 800,000 years that we have learned so much from. We couldn't be a new human without it. So we need to value it. Absolutely. And I want to show people how. And then the last piece is really key here, because if you didn't get to ask me questions before in these modules, I'm going to just spend an entire Christmas, December 27th, answering questions. So I can make sure you know what you're doing. And it's so cool to be able to do that, because every question is going to be everybody else's question, most likely. And that's what's so cool about just a pure Q&A. And I've never done that before, but I was like, I'm going to have to. This is important. Because people are going to be practicing and they're going to be like, what do you do with this? Well, that's where I want to meet you and be able to really answer all your questions in that last module. And then, of course, this 20-minute experience, right now, you don't have to wait too long to get with me to do this session, because I've opened my calendar up in a certain way for you. And the cool part is, a long time ago, it would have taken me 90 minutes to do what I can do in 20.
Wow.
So now, and that was the first time I ever offered a session, I think it was a 90-minute session actually on your show.
Oh yeah.
So, wow, we've changed a lot. This is good. And then of course I always add some bonuses. I do a monthly call, though I missed 2 because I've been so sick. But we're going to do it this month and continue forward forever, as long as I'm around. And then, of course, some music, because guess what? You need some music, folks. Frequency is key to healing. And my husband, Drew, he goes by Bioluminescent. He's one of the best musicians I know. And I'm proud to offer his work as a bonus too. So this is the package, and it's fresh, it's different, and I've never offered anything quite like this before. And I'm very excited about it.
It's a fantastic offer, and you're really going through the layers. And again, from your place of not only visioning, but your personal experiences and embodiments, and the way that you teach, again, bringing all these practices is profound. It's profound. Y'all, this is all only for $197. It's one course a month, but I love this, Elizabeth, because the ability to go in and integrate and embody and sit with, and then come back for the next one, and not just coming back, yes, for you, of course, but community that's going through the same thing, and what that does to support that field of consciousness together as you expand on it and embody it even more and deeper layers of it. I love the way you've set this up, plus the 20-minute session. I think I might have to sign up for this. This is going to be
I've got your back.
April. Do it. Do it. April, buy a package for me. Y'all get on the calendar if you want to, because I'm about to hog a spot. I'll take advantage of it. The link for the special offer, y'all, is in the chat box again, I believe. Yep, it's on there at 9:13 my time now. Click on the special offer link. It's $197. There's an option for 2 payments as well. And for scheduling the one-on-one, there'll be a scheduling link in the special offer download page. You'll get that. It'll be clear. If it's not clear for any reason, just email us, and I promise we'll guide you to how to make sure that that you get on the calendar. So it should be really easy. Again, take advantage of it. 2 payment option. First payment today, the next payment 30 days later, and you'll start receiving the courses for these live courses, y'all. They're live. This is amazing, Elizabeth. Thank you for putting this together in this way. It's so generous.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and if y'all are ready, let's open up to some Q&A. So I need to promote some of y'all to panelists. And before we do that, how long is the special offer good for? I think we're going to run the special offer good until the end of this season, which is in August. And so it's going to be up for a while, but to get booked with this, with the sessions, if we run too many for Elizabeth and she gets overbooked, that may have to close down. So I can't guarantee that that'll be open, just depending on how many people decide to sign up and get that 20-minute one-on-one. But yeah, just keep checking in if you need to delay it.
There's another question that I think is worth answering, because my last special, I did a 3-class pass.
Okay.
And yes, if you want the 3 of these as part of your 3-class pass, all you need to do is email me. But I want to caveat this. I have over 300 classes I've taught over the past decade. And it might be that some of those classes are actually more important right now for you. So I want you to email me. If you are looking at this and you're like, ooh, I wonder if the 3-class pass will count, just email me and let's talk about what you need, and we'll go from there. And then, so because I want you to get the best bang for your buck, but I also want to make sure your needs are met. So that's what I think is most important. And I'm just going to say my email. Is that okay?
Yeah,
I can,
absolutely.
okay. It's elizabeth@seerandscientist.com. So nice and easy, but please email me and I will help you decide if this is the right thing for you for your 3-class pass.
Perfect. And the sessions, when they begin, the live classes, it's on the special offer page. You'll see the dates. 11 a.m. Eastern time begins the first classes. And as far as the sessions, the one-on-one, you'll need to book that with Elizabeth. The calendar link will be sent to you. So I love that you guys are asking this. I promise we make it really easy. Just go in and you're going to get all the information. You're going to get the schedule in advance. If by any reason you missed the emails, it got in spam or got lost somewhere in the other Indra's web, that's not the Indra's web, you can find us on Facebook, on social media, whatever. Find us and we'll make sure that you get the emails. There's lots of different ways and nothing will block you from being in the class. I promise you. Elizabeth at seerandscientist.com. Margie just typed it in again. Someone was asking. So you have it in there. And let's go to live Q&A, Elizabeth.
Great.
Michelle, let's start with you. Welcome. And anybody else who wants to ask questions, raise your hands and we'll dive in.
Hello. Thank you, John.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Hi, Elizabeth.
Thanks,
Hi. So I'm wondering, I had put a question in the chat, in the Q&A too, because since I haven't been long to John's show, and I've really been enjoying it and experienced some cool ascended energy since then in a short period of time. So I understand I can heal my body, but since then I have had all these health issues coming up. So I can understand that now that I know I can heal myself, it's frustrating that I've got these health issues coming up now.
Well, first off, congratulations. And secondly, have you ever been in a house that's full of a bunch of trash?
Yes.
You know how when you go in and you're cleaning it out, you're like disgusting and you're like, I can't wait to take a shower.
Yes.
That's what's happening.
Ah,
So the human body is the house
right.
for your soul, of course. And your soul's like been working on itself, right? It's like, all right, I got to work on this trauma. And this is some of the trash bags that I put here. And so you get through some of these and you're like, wow, I can remember some stuff. And one of them is that, hey, I can heal myself. And now you're like gung ho, you're like, yay, I can heal myself. Because then you finally realize it's true. And all these miracles have occurred in such a way to lead you to that. But 90% of the trash in your house is genetic. It's genetic trauma. Most of that trash isn't yours. So now you're going through it and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot in here. How big is this house? Well, it's really big. It's 12 dimensions big. So the fact that you're going through health issues is actually a sign that you're on the right track. First, don't resist. If you fight this, if you resist it, then you're not going to get as far. It's sort of like you're going through the trash and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. If you keep doing that, you're not going to get very far. But if you keep that attitude of like, we're onto something, keep that attitude, then you're going to be able to make this happen quickly. Now you got some research to do. You need to figure out exactly what all these trash bags are made of. And you need to go find out about your lineage because you picked this particular human body and it has a very specific ethnic lineage, and you need to know what were those people experiencing, not just your immediate family, though you need to know that too. And if any of you are adopted, it doesn't matter. You're inheriting stuff because you were adopted by an energetic, not just a couple, okay, or a person. So it's really key to then also look at your ethnic lineage. You don't need to know who your parents exactly were. You just kind of need to know, well, I'm white-ish, or I'm Black, or I'm Native American, obviously. So from my phenotype, that's what the technical term is. There's only one race. From my phenotype, what can I deduce? What did these folks go through? What do I really know? If you're not really sure, then get some clarity on your ethnicity and go look at the history. Go look, because that's what you have to clean out. The more you do this, and the more you replace it with your own soul's light through intention, Michelle, then you're going to end up remembering a whole lot more really fast. And then you'll start to remember techniques on how to do this faster. You'll start to remember all of your purpose, and then you'll remember all of your lifetimes, and it'll all make sense. So the fact that you're going through more trash and feeling extra gross about it, you're right on track.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
Well, what's cool is you get to see the open floor plan.
Right.
And you were wise enough to come in now when the energies were this heightened to be able to do it faster. So
Right.
you'll be able to do it faster. Whereas your grandma, it would have taken her 20 years. It's not going to take
Right.
you, it'll take you a year, to get through the same stuff.
Well,
Awesome.
what's exciting for me, Michelle and Elizabeth, is that Elizabeth, you have the consciousness to ask the questions that will illuminate you into the next stage of what's become available to you. So that speaks volumes, y'all. Just to be able to ask the question means there's you're stepping through the doorway already.
Mm.
And so rather than be in despair because you're being illuminated, it's like, wow, I'm being illuminated. That's a cause for excitement. But the human condition, the suffering, the compassion, the empathy that Elizabeth talked about, that seems like this point of initiation for so many of us during this transition evolution. It's all coming with us, but in illuminated bioluminescence form, if you will, the human
Right.
as light. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm looking
You're
forward
on
to
it.
the offering. Yeah.
I can't wait to see you there.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank
All right,
you.
we're running a little late, y'all. We started a little bit late, so let's take some more questions. Oh, there's so many great questions in the chat box. But as I'm guided to go as people raise their hands today. Eileen, if we can get you to unmute, please.
Hi.
Hi, Eileen. Nice to see you.
I love a direct question, Eileen. Like, what's coming in? What's your direct question?
What's coming in is my body is confirming exactly what you're talking about. I was wondering why my body feels like it's falling apart.
Well, because it is. And mine is too. And this particular experience is not at all what anyone expected. But your soul is taking over. Your soul is so powerful, Eileen. And you and I, we pick these bodies that are, some people would say that they're problematic. That's not at all what I think, at all. I have one of the most rare, horrifying diseases on the planet. And that's not how I feel at all. My body is becoming more formless. So mindset switch here, it's not falling apart, it's becoming more formless. Don't resist. If you resist it, it's going to hurt and it'll feel like a building falling apart. If you surrender to it, you'll find that all this pain you're in and the falling apart energy is actually radiance, it's power. It's trying to come through, it's trying to take over every cell. Let it. Let it. It's literally dissolving. You're becoming light while still in a body. This has never been accomplished on this planet before. So nobody can tell you exactly how to do it except that we're doing it together. And I'm doing it every day right with you. We're going to do this. This is what we came for. And it's going to help everyone. And you are so bright and light. If you could psychically see yourself the way I see you, just don't resist it. Let it move through you. Let the pain be light. It is light. Look at it really carefully. That's what I see.
Beautiful, Eileen. I love you. Just soak that in and be with it. Thank you so much for calling in.
Takes a lot of guts to do this.
Why is my body falling apart? Because it is. Right? Thank you. Oh, that's what's happening. Wow. If someone could have only explained that to me 5 years ago, right?
Seriously.
And here we are. And
here we are.
Compassion. And we're becoming more educated and we're learning what's on the other side of that also, what we're stepping into. Not just the deterioration, but the strength and the power that we have as we step into what's breaking apart, but really what's building up from that breakup, which is so wonderful. All right, Susan, Let's get you to unmute, please. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Susan. Nice to see you again.
Hi, it's great to see you. It's Suzanne, and I worked with you. I actually bought a package on your first.
I remember you.
So it's so great to see you again.
You too, Susan.
So here's the question I have. My body's basically okay. I've been through some of this body stuff before. My feet are hurting me, but my financial world is really insane. I mean, money I thought I had invested, I was cheated out of, and I am broke in a way that I can't believe. I had a lot of money and it's all gone.
I remember your situation.
Well, there's another situation. I mean, on top
Another
of,
one.
So
Holy cow.
it's like, what is going on? I don't quite understand what that's about. I wonder, what these issues are about around money, and it's a different kind of material and body, but it's still like security issues. So it's sort of like the body.
Yeah. Yeah. And in a way, what's happening is the financial system, which is sort of like a matrix body, well, it's falling apart in general. So I realize that you're going through this as a very personal experience. And I encourage you to stay zoomed out on this one. Because to be able to understand what's happening to you, you really have to be way up here in consciousness. And to notice this whole concept is falling apart.
Yeah.
Not just the systems, the whole concept of money itself. You see, it's never been a true concept. It's sort of a copy, like the internet is a copy of Indra's net. The financial systems and the concept of money is a copy of what energy exchange is all about.
Yeah.
So if I would suggest, and this is so radical, remove yourself from this concept, engage in what is real, which we haven't been using for a really long time as human beings. I think that you are here to carve out a path for people to reclaim what's real.
I was teaching about the field of plenty today. This is the irony. So I'm teaching about accessing the field of plenty, this place of infinite possibilities. Everything's there available to us in readiness. But I'm also feeling this lack, sort of. I mean,
you got one foot in and one,
but
you're doing
exists, but
by teaching it, you're mastering it. So don't stop sharing what you know.
I mean,
you're not doing anything wrong. The problem is not the problem. It's the resistance that you're having to the problem. The problem is leading you to your full body mastery of this concept. And you will lead the way on purpose out of money. Because it's been your number one biggest giant problem. Don't resist it, bow to it, and say thank you, and I'll see you later, man. And like, really, you belong in the old paradigm anyway. And then show everybody what to do and implement it. But from here, way up high, because that's how big you are.
Yeah. That's what I teach.
You're on it.
But it's hard applying it.
I know, but that's the PhD program.
That's right. It's the postdoc program.
It is. This is you getting your tenure.
Oh, that's right. Finally.
Finally.
Thank you.
I'm all about it. Send me your link. I want to follow. I want to know.
I love you. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much.
I love you too.
Thanks for calling in. And it'd be wonderful to have a conversation around the financial system, but not in the financial system as a whole, but really how it relates to the personal. Because we talk about the financial system and collapsing and all that, but there's a dismantling open. And I'm going through waves of reorganization of financial resources and how, and the energies in which we keep finances close to us, but in the energy of which we release it as well, and what that means for how we're creating and manifesting in a new paradigm. So there's a deep conversation that is available in this, but I have to tell you that conversation really can go on superpower, on quantum, if we get into the components of what Elizabeth is offering in the special offer. The ability to read into the field, the ability to heal the DNA, the ability to,
I've already signed up.
yeah, to connect in these ways. And I'm saying it not just for your benefit, but for everybody's benefit.
Exactly.
We look for solutions that provide the Band-Aid, but we're going through a whole regenesis.
Yeah.
Is that right? Regenesis.
Oh yeah, regenesis. Yeah.
Or
It's a good way to put
regenesis.
it. Mhm.
Yeah. And because of that, the way in which we see putting Band-Aid over the wounds not going to allow us to regenerate in the way that we're regenerating. And so our consciousness about relationships, about money, about our purpose, about our passions, about what we think we're here to do in service to ourselves and in service to another is being redefined from this very powerful yet vulnerable space that Elizabeth has just herself also transcended through during this experience where she went through the pain of dying and coming back. And I wouldn't call it necessarily a near-death experience, but perhaps it was. I can't say that for you, Elizabeth, but it sounds like it in so many ways.
Yes, I reached levels of pain I never had before.
Yeah.
I know what death is, and I can't tell you how beautiful it really is.
Yeah.
John, there's a very interesting question that came up in the chat real fast. Is that all right if I answer it? It's a quick one.
Let's get into that question and then say good night to everybody so that
Yes.
y'all can really take in just there's so much being shared on tonight's call. So before we take that question, y'all, I just talked about the special offer. The link's in the chat box. Click on the link, sign up for the special offer. There's a 20-minute session with Elizabeth. She's already told you she's gone from 90 minutes into 20 minutes. Go for a hike afterwards, go for a swim, dance, use those extra minutes that you thought you had to be in session to fill yourself up with your own light after you discover more of it with the session with Elizabeth. Seriously, schedule 90 minutes, take the 20 with Elizabeth and play the rest of the time. That would be my advice.
Oh, that's a good advice.
Right? And then the courses, one every month. So you can go in deep, and then the live Q&A. And again, these are all live courses that's available in the special offer. So this is fantastic. It's Elizabeth hasn't offered anything like this on BTO in a while, other than the 90-minute sessions the first time that she was on, and she just blew up with sessions. So this is phenomenal. I can't speak enough about it. Again, $197, 2-payment option with the special offer. And to listen to the replay. We'll send out an email with a synopsis of today's call, very quick one, the link for the replay. Go back and listen. If you can't find the email for whatever reason, just type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com, my website, /replay. And it'll take you to the replay page, and you'll be able to come back and dive into the energy. And with that, Elizabeth, what's the question that came in? I'm so curious, the one you're picking up on.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone who's joined me before in some way, shape, or form and encouraging people. Thank you so much. And I'm just really glad that I've been able to serve you. So the question that I saw was, someone heard me speak around trauma, and they said, is trauma in all 12 dimensions? And I want to speak to that because I often talk about trauma. There's 2 ways that you can understand trauma. And the first is that your genetic lineage has epigenetic memory, and it's a CD that's sort of added on to over 800,000 years. And so you have a very, very long line of trauma written in that DNA of yours in the physical form, right? But DNA also accesses all 12 dimensions of consciousness. Now, when you finally do clean out most of your trauma, you're going to remember a lot about who you are. I've done it. And so at this point, I can speak from my soul's memory. I remember most of my lifetimes now. And it's very, very real. It's very vivid, this whole process. There's benchmarks. But that being said, there is soul level trauma. And so, yes, technically, trauma can move through all dimensions. But cool part is your soul level trauma has already taught you what you need to know. So you're going to have a different relationship with trauma.
Mhm.
And then you're not going to feel like it's a burden. At this point, my trauma is not a burden at all, not even a little bit.
Mm.
I absolutely adore my trauma. Why? Because it's packed full of knowledge and wisdom. I would not be here right now speaking with such clarity about what's happening and where we're at if I hadn't have been through 4 weeks of hell to be here on this show. I had to cancel and reschedule just to be here today. And I knew it was going to be good because I've never had to cancel or reschedule on John's show ever. And I had to. And I thought, this is it. This is huge. This is huge. I am so grateful.
Mm.
So by that point that you experience these layers and levels of trauma where your soul is moving through all 12 dimensions and remembers and understands it, it's not going to bother you anymore. It's all perfect, exactly the way it should be.
Mm.
And so that's where we're headed, is a human race that actually experiences that. So that's what I wanted to answer and close, because it leads us to this excitement, John, that all of what we're going through and what is coming over the next, 10 years or however long, that it's all exactly perfect, that it's so beautiful, that it's to be treasured, because this is unlike any experience that any species has ever gone through. We are doing something brand new. And you signed up and chose to say yes to that invitation. And you are so brave. You are so wise and so important in all of what is being accomplished. Don't give up. Don't resist. Be that and be the light. All of your suffering is light. All of your pain is light. It's true. Look at it carefully. Go into it and you'll see and feel that what I'm saying is real. So that's my message. And that's this beautiful ending to our great show. And
Mm.
I'm so glad. Thank you, John.
What a beautiful show. And we got some great questions coming in the chat box, y'all. More people, the hands raised. We'll have Elizabeth on back. She will be back. I'm almost certain. She's been in previous seasons. So we'll cross our fingers and put light when we open up our computers and invite Elizabeth back. But again, a lot of these questions, if y'all feel that you're kind of left hanging or anything, it's the special offer going. There's Q&A in that. It's also the reason why we have Beyond the Ordinary show and provide these free calls, really, this community, so that you can tap into experts who can drop in with you and share with compassion and understanding and through experience, their path. So they, in the hopes that they can illuminate something in your path as well. So there's so much support in so many different ways. And again, we have the privilege of having Elizabeth on, and the way that she shares, again, at the edge of consciousness, and with such great detail and facilitation and different tools available. Again, it's just an amazing call. So much available here, and such expansion and truth and love that's being transmitted as light through these airwaves that we call a Zoom call or the internet. And it's with that I send you my love, bow to you each, and namaste. Acknowledging your light. And I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Elizabeth, you rock. You're so amazing. It's wonderful to see you.
You too, John. You rock. I love all of you.
Love y'all.